As the biting cold of Scandinavian winter descends upon the Viking homesteads, we journey into the heart of a season that tests strength, spirit, and survival. Feel the weight of snow-laden skies, the hush of frozen forests, and the flickering warmth of hearth fires. Join us as we unravel the stories of endurance, community, and hope during the harshest winters of the Viking Age. As the first pale light stretches hesitantly over the rim of the horizon, a Viking settlement stirs beneath a heavy blanket of snow and silence. Picture rows of sturdy wooden huts pressed close together for warmth, their roofs rimmed with delicate white. Each icicle a tiny monument to a night that clung fiercely to its cold. Step outside and feel the biting air chase away any remnants of sleep, your skin prickling as each breath catches in your lungs. Crisp, raw, and impossibly fresh. Beneath your feet, the ground is firm, each step crunching quietly over frost-laced timber and gravel. The comforting sound of distant wolf howls floats in from the far edge of the forest, a haunting yet steady backdrop to the morning stillness. Eyes drinking in the faint shimmer of frost that coats every surface, you notice how even the bleak tundra seems to blush with possibility. Sunlight painting rose-gold crescents atop snowy boughs, revealing the artistry of winter's hand. With fires banked low inside the huts, families huddle close, hands wrapped around wooden cups holding the last warmth from a simmering stew or early morning broth. The mingled aroma of smoked fish and peat hangs in the air with the promise of life persisting through cold and darkness. Small children tug at fur-lined cloaks while elders test the frost on window panes, reading the world outside as an ancient calendar. The entire village, united in its slow awakening, celebrates the quiet miracle of another day. For Vikings, winter dawn was both a test and a ritual, a thread woven into the richer fabric of their calendar. When the winter solstice arrived, families gathered around firelit halls, sharing stories, feasting, and singing in hope of brighter days. The winter solstice, marking the longest night and the rebirth of the sun, was one of the most important festivals, symbolizing resilience and community. Can you imagine what it feels like to wake to such biting cold and uncertain light? Heart beating faster as you prepare not just to survive, but to find beauty in the harshness. Perhaps you faced your own dawn after a long, challenging night. A morning commute scraping frost from a windshield, or a quiet sunrise after sleepless hours. Each breath reminding you that beginnings can be both difficult and luminous. If you ever wish, you might share below what helps you greet your own frozen mornings. Whether it's a special ritual, a cup of something hot, or a moment looking out at the world's chill. Only if you'd like, your gentle memory could warm another soul facing their own wintry start. As the first glints of sunlight stretch further, the settlement hums to life, and even the howling wolves seem to signal hope from the far side of the white woods. Let yourself linger in this moment, feeling the bite of cold, hearing distant calls, and watching the world awaken under a dawn both brutal and beautiful, before we step softly into the heart of Viking winter. As the pale glow of dawn fades almost as soon as it arrives, Viking life slips into the long embrace of winter's darkness. Imagine yourself nestled inside a sturdy wooden hall, the world outside indistinguishable, sky and land blending in a deep blue shadow that settles well before afternoon. Listen closely. The most constant companion in these long months is the mellow crackle of the hearth, its orange embers fiercely alive amid the hush. The scent of smoky firewood threads steadily through every room, seeping into woolen garments and winding among benches and thatched roofs. Each breath you take is tinged with the heavy aroma of birch, alder, or dried seaweed burned for warmth. The mix of scents lingers in hair, skin, and blankets, a familiar embrace that marks each passing evening. Hours stretch languidly, marked only by the slow return of family from icy chores, and the first hunks of bread or dried meat being passed hand to hand. By mid-afternoon, darkness nudges everyone closer to the protection of the hearth, where firelight flickers on faces, throwing playful shadows across wooden beams. The lines of work and rest blur, and the rhythm of the day softens, giving way to stories shared below thick animal furs and the muted rustle of hands busy with simple crafts, mending, spinning, sharpening tools. Perhaps you felt a little of this in your own life. Days where the sun slips away too quickly, or weeks where you reach for lamplight and warmth to chase away the gloom. Just as many people today find comfort in gathering with friends for board games, watching favorite shows, or sipping tea on cold evenings, the Vikings leaned into these small, steady habits to foster hope and connection through seemingly unending nights. What helps you shape comfort when darkness lingers? Do you light candles, invite friends over, or wrap yourself in a favorite blanket? If it feels right to you, you're welcome to share your gentle winter rituals or memories in the comments. No pressure. Your experience might help someone else kindle a bit of brightness this season. As darkness thickens outside, the comforting crackle of the hearth grows more insistent, a heartbeat anchoring the home. Even as spirits sometimes waver, the Vikings' nightly rituals wrapped each heart in reassurance. Songs hummed softly, honeyed ale shared between laughs, quiet prayers murmured for the sun's swift return. In the wait of these long nights, they learned to find not just endurance, but moments of peace, joy, and resilience, stitching together survival, one glowing ember at a time. The gentle glow of fire leads us onward, banishing the harshest edge of winter and inviting us to linger just a little longer in warmth, connection, and the fragile beauty of night. In the heart of a relentless Viking winter, the search for sustenance was a quiet daily trial, a dance between planning, patience, and hope as days ticked steadily toward spring. Imagine the dark interior of a family's longhouse, the air thick with the sharp, inviting smell of smoked meats and drying fish, storied evidence of autumn's careful preparations now hanging in neat rows overhead. Against the cold, preserved slabs of game glisten with salt, and plaited lengths of dried cod sway gently above the stone hearth. Reach for a morsel of salted fish. Your teeth sense the firm resistance before the briny flavor floods your palate, both satisfying and a little harsh, speaking to months spent at sea or by icy riverbanks. Each bite is a lesson in resourcefulness. Every meal, however simple, echoes with gratitude for what was gathered, hunted, or traded before the snow settled. The taste of preservation, fish brined, seal blubber rendered, grains ground and tucked away, becomes the backdrop of winter's nightly feasts. The smell of cured meat suffuses every story and woven blanket, an anchor against the outside world's hunger. Wild herbs, harvested and dried at summer's end, are crumbled into thick, bubbling stews. Children and elders sit shoulder to shoulder, passing wooden bowls rimmed with steam and memories, the meal a ritual that draws a line of comfort through the dark. As the night deepens, families gather to recount the seasons, tales of abundant harvests, lessons learned from lean years, and lantern-lit songs to coax appetite and spirits alike. Scarcity is held at bay not just by storage and endurance, but by the unity found around every battered table. The conversation is gentle, a blend of practical wisdom. Remember how much salt we needed last year? And tender asides. This is my favorite kind of fish. What about you? Maybe you too have weathered a difficult winter, whether from biting weather or the softer hunger of uncertainty. Have you ever stocked up on comforts, cans, bread, a favorite soup, to see you through a heavy snow or tough time? Some nights, it's the simplest meal, shared with care, that brings the greatest feeling of warmth. If it feels right to you, only if you'd like, consider sharing in the comments how you face challenging seasons. What rituals, recipes, or memories help you feel prepared or comforted through the long nights? Your gentle story might offer another listener a thread of hope or a new way to nurture themselves in winter's shadow. As the embers fade to a sleepy glow, all that remains is the lingering aroma of cured meat and a quiet fullness. Scarcity and sustenance, tension and ritual wend together, reminding us that with a little care, every season, however barren, can be met with dignity and warmth. And so, as night drapes once more, the heart looks ahead toward the promise of another dawn and another meal, gently won from the icy wild. As night folds itself gently over the Viking village, the world beyond the walls melts into darkness. Every family, every wanderer seeks out a hearth, a place where the gentle glow of firelight holds back the chill, and the fragile warmth reaches out like an embrace. Inside thick-walled halls of timber and earth, the hearth is more than just a practical necessity. It is the very heart of the home, pulsing with life, shared memory, and community strength. Listen to the low, soothing murmur of gathered voices, each one softened by the pop and hiss of resin-scented logs. Children nestle close, cheeks flushed and arms draped over one another, while elders sink into furs, smiles flickering in rhythm with the flames. The warmth is real, seeping slowly into bones, comfortable, steady, and deeply anchoring. Hands are cupped around wooden mugs, every sip of broth or mead carrying a grounding sense of safety. In these cozy spaces, stories drift softly through the air. Tales of heroic journeys, clever foxes, and haunting spirits are retold and revised, binding the listeners together as much as any blanket ever could. Laughter sometimes bursts out, echoing from rafter to rafter, sparks leaping upward as if to chase the sound higher. Even grief or worry, when shared over the warmth of a communal fire, becomes just a little easier to bear. Maybe you can relate. A memory, perhaps, of your own family clustered on a snowy night. The hum of gentle conversation dancing beside the low flicker of a favorite lamp or fireplace. Just as Vikings gathered for comfort and resilience, many people today find their own kind of heart in community. Potlucks on stormy evenings, movie nights under blankets, video calls with loved ones far away. Have you experienced a moment when sharing warmth, laughter, or a simple meal turned winter from a foe into something tender and even cherished? If you feel moved, you're welcome to share a memory in the comments. Just a gentle story, no pressure, simply an invitation to help others kindle comfort of their own. As voices grow softer and the fire's glow deepens, sleep begins to settle into the corners of the room. The soothing ritual of gathering at the hearth becomes the thread that weaves courage, hope, and togetherness through every difficult winter. Every ember, Every whispered story promises you are not alone, and peace lives where warmth is freely given. When you're ready, gently let this image of cozy hearths and collective warmth carry you forward. Heart settled, spirits lifted, and the faint echo of shared stories lighting your own darkest nights. As winter tightens its grip over the Viking homestead, the merciless breath of the north wind sweeps through barren branches and frost-covered fields. Imagine the relentless howl of the wind as it carves through snow-laden pines and rattles the heavy wooden beams of sturdy halls. The night seems endless beneath a swirling sky of drifting snowflakes, each one sharp and biting against bare skin. Feel the sting of cold flakes brushing across cheeks and hands, their icy touch a constant reminder of nature's unforgiving might. Beyond the immediate chill, there is the deeper dread of an arriving blizzard, when visibility vanishes and the world turns into an unrecognizable sea of white. Yet the Vikings were far from helpless against these tempests. With keen eyes turned skyward, they learned to read the whispers of wind and shifting clouds, predicting the storms that would bellow through valleys and sweep across the seas. The cracking of ice on the fjord, the sudden stillness of animals, and ancient lore passed down through the generations shaped their understanding and preparedness. Inside their thick-walled homes, families gathered to fortify against the storm's fury. Hearth fires blazed brighter, and animals were herded into sheltered enclosures of timber and thatch. Nutrition and warmth became spiritual as well as physical defenses, binding the community together in shared resilience. The struggle to protect livestock was a battle fought with equal parts strategy and care. Hay was rationed with thoughts of the long winter ahead, and vigilant watch kept as storms approached. The loss of an animal brought real hardship, making each bale of feed and each straw-laden stall precious in the fight for survival. Through the drumming roar of winter's might, the Vikings' steadfast spirit shone. Their stories, sung beside candlelit fires, recount not just agony, but ingenuity. Tales of clever shelters, hearty meals, and human warmth resisting the cold. Can you recall a moment when you stood braced against a storm, whether of snow or of life? When the howling wind felt like an outside reflection of your own challenges? If you feel drawn, perhaps a story or reflection on resilience during harsh times might find a gentle home in the comments below. No pressure, only a soft welcome. For all who journey with these cold tales, know that like the Vikings, we carry more warmth and wisdom through harsh seasons than the frost may show. As we turn from the storm to the shields and shelters that guard against winter's bite, let the echoes of resilience guide you onward, a little lighter than before. Step into a Viking homestead as winter deepens, and feel the gentle contrast between the world outside, frigid and relentless, and the cocoon of warmth created within thick walls and layered garments. The first sensation that meets your skin is the softness of wool, spun from the fleeces of hardy sheep and painstakingly woven to cradle every limb. Mittens, hats, and tunics are all crafted in overlapping layers, each piece infused with remembrance of nimble fingers and winter's need for both comfort and survival. Lean in and breathe deeply. The air holds a mellow richness, the scent of cured leather mingling with the subtle tang of lanolin and wood smoke. Leather, tanned with time, patience, and natural oils, forms tough boots and belts, flexible wrappings for feet and hands that face the snow. When you slip your hand into a fur-lined shoe or rest it on a smooth, carefully stitched belt, you feel the result of countless evenings spent preparing hides, treating them with ash, water, and salt so they yield to both warmth and weather. Homes themselves are havens weathered by thoughtful craftsmanship. Thick, interlaced timber beams are chinked with moss and clay, offering insulation against wild drafts. The thatched roofs, heavy with snow, slope steep to cast storms aside, while small, high-set windows let in only slivers of sharp daylight. Inside, benches are strewn with heavy pelts, fox, bear, reindeer, adding a lush buffer that catches the body's warmth, ensuring every corner, nook, and sleeping spot becomes a sanctuary. For the Vikings, clothing and shelter went far beyond comfort. They were a vital, living response to the land's challenge. Each item was shaped by what was available. Wool spun thick for bitter winds, leathers cured to withstand sleet and ice, furs selected for their ability to insulate even the smallest toes. Even tools, such as bone needles and wooden shuttles, were passed down as treasured inheritance, symbols of resourcefulness and love. Consider your own rituals when facing the cold. Do you reach for a beloved sweater, cherished blanket, or favorite hooded coat? Just as Vikings carefully layered for a season of survival, many today use tradition and memory to help transform an ordinary winter's day into a gentle refuge. What about you? What do you think of these Viking strategies for warmth? Is there a particular garment or home comfort you rely on as the world turns chilly? If it feels right, only if you'd like, you're warmly invited to share in the comments below. Your soft memory or tip might help another listener feel a bit more prepared for their own winter night. As warmth builds within soft wool and strong leather, and the mind calms in the shelter of sturdy walls, the harsh face of winter seems to fade, leaving behind only the assurance that with care, skill, and communal wisdom, even the most biting cold can be held at bay. With hearts and hearths securely swaddled, the journey through Viking winter continues, promising new ways to weave comfort from even the frostiest days. As winter's shadow stretched across frozen fjords, even the boldest Viking hearts weighed the risks of setting sail. Picture a longship resting at the icy edge of a gray, steel-cold sea. Each plank groans softly beneath heavy boots, the creaking wood echoing into the chilling dawn. Sharp gusts lance with invisible force, hurling icy spray from restless waves onto weathered hands and cheeks, each droplet biting and numbing against unyielding cold. Warriors and traders stand wrapped in layered wool and fur, but no amount of cloth can fend off the penetrating chill that reaches to the bone once ships pull away from the sheltered harbor. Every journey becomes a delicate gamble, a dance with storms that brew suddenly, with snow swirling into blinding curtains and ice threatening to freeze oars fast to their locks. The sea's surface shifts between slush and angry swells. Ropes stiffen, sails snap in brittle winds, and hands work desperately to keep vessels moving when the world feels on the verge of stillness and chaos at once. Navigating became a trial of patience and memory. With the sun low and weak, familiar landmarks blur in the pale glow of overcast days. Vikings relied on their keen senses and deep-rooted lore, tracking the direction of seabirds, the behavior of the wind, and the feel of the current beneath their hulls. Older sailors told stories of stars hidden behind thick, low clouds, and how experience alone could find the way in a world stripped of light and comfort. Winter did not just bring danger, it brought delays, ice-clogged rivers, and packed snow stranded ships for weeks or even months. Markets far across the sea grew distant. Goods waited in storerooms, and distant kin anticipated news or supplies that would not come until the thaw. The patience, planning, and fortitude demanded by winter's grip shaped daily choices for entire towns. What to send, when to risk travel, and whom to trust for the hard voyage. You might think of your own life's journeys delayed or rerouted by forces outside your control. A snowstorm stalling travel plans, a power outage slowing homes, or even just the heavy pause of winter making you reconsider a drive across town. As the Vikings learned, these delays could become moments of quiet reflection, deep camaraderie, or unexpected resourcefulness. Perhaps, like them, you found hidden strength in forced stillness, or hope sparked by the creak and sway of moving onward after a time of waiting. Can you imagine gripping the edge of a wooden rail, feeling icy sea spray numbing your fingertips as you scan the horizon for the familiar shape of home, or hearing the creaking planks beneath you through a sleepless night, trusting the skills and spirit of your crew to bring you safely through the storm? If it feels right, you're gently invited to share a memory of a delayed journey or an unexpected adventure due to winter or weather. Sometimes, just hearing your story can anchor someone else's heart through their own uncertain season. Let the sound of groaning timbers and the cold sting of sea spray linger as we travel onward, through frozen seas, patient waiting, and the steady courage that drew every Viking, and each of us, toward the promise of distant shores and brighter days. As the relentless dark of the Nordic winter settles deeper around the Viking homestead, a stillness takes hold, not just of the frozen land, but of the hearts within. Imagine the sharp, clean scent of juniper smoke curling in gentle spirals from the hearth and sacred fires, weaving through timbered halls and carrying ancient protection. This aroma is a balm, a whisper from earth and tradition offering courage against despair. The low, rhythmic chant of prayers threads through the silent rooms, voices raised in solemn harmony, a spiritual shield against the endless night. These chants, sung in Old Norse, wind around the walls and through shadowed corners, a steady pulse that steadies breath and steadies spirit. Within these moments, we glimpse the inner battles faced by those enduring months of frozen isolation. The long cold was not just a physical trial, but a test of mental resilience, demanding strength of mind as much as of body. Listen closely, and you can hear the quiet exchange of encouraging words, the soft murmur of shared resolve. Some prayers call to Odin, asking for wisdom and strength. Others seek the favor of Freya, hoping for comfort and protection. Each incantation carries both faith and fear, a tie between the seen world and the unseen. Odin and Freya were among the most revered deities in Norse mythology. A quick note for listeners new to these names. The crackle of juniper embers is steady beneath the chant, a grounding presence that brings warmth to chilled limbs and tired minds. Folk believe this smoke warded off evil spirits and ensured dreams of endurance and hope. Consider the ways you face cold or challenging times, the rituals that bring steadiness when the world feels overwhelming. Maybe a breath held deeply and slowly, a word spoken softly, or a quiet moment by candlelight. Have you ever found comfort in a sacred practice, a mantra, or a ritual that helped steady your mind during difficult seasons? If you feel drawn, you're welcome to share your own gentle strategies for mental strength in the comments below. Only if you'd like. Sometimes your wisdom quietly helps another through their own long winter. Through ancient chants and the scent of sacred smoke, the Vikings carved a path through the dark winter months, not merely surviving, but holding fast with hearts full of hope and spirits unyielding. Allow yourself to carry this resolve forward as the night deepens. The whispered prayers and juniper's scent wrapping you in steady, calm fortitude and guiding you gently into the next chapter of our journey through winter. With winter's grip steady on the land, time inside Viking homes took on a different rhythm, a slow, determined turning toward creativity, resilience, and thoughtful preparation for the promise of spring. Imagine the heart of a longhouse, where the most skilled hands are never idle. The feel of hardened wood warms your palms, the result of hours spent carving and shaping handles, bows, and beams beside the hearth. Each splinter smoothed away speaks of patience. Each groove along a spear shaft or curve of a sturdy bowl reveals quiet pride in daily, purposeful work. The air pulses with the deep, resonant music of hammer on iron. Sparks pop and scatter against stone as metal meets anvil, the sound a heartbeat for those gathered close by. A blacksmith's hands, rough, calloused, and steady, draw glowing rods from the fire, beating and twisting them into knives, arrowheads, and hinges. All around, the taste of iron dust lingers in the air, mixing with the sharp, almost comforting aroma of smoldering coals and beeswax polish. Children linger at the edge of this world, their small hands learning to whittle scraps while listening to the gentle talk of parents and elders. Stories and laughter dwell here too, stitched into every rhythm of craft, the familiar song of hammering, the gentle scraping of bone needles, and the calm discussion of plans for planting when the world finally thaws. For the Vikings, winter was not an idle wasteland, but a cherished workshop of renewal. Fishermen mended nets, weaving hemp and sinew with chilly fingers as the wind rattled doors. Farmers carved yokes or fashioned simple games from wood and antler. Shields repainted, oars straightened, clothes patched and spun. All these efforts sheltered hope through the darkness, drawing family and community close in a cocoon of shared purpose. If you think back, maybe some winter days of your own come to mind. Hands busy with puzzles, crafts, or the gentle work of home repair. Just as today's quiet hours inspire cozy projects, in the Viking heartland, winter was a tapestry of humble innovations, each one readying the village for bright days ahead. Have you ever felt that special sense of community that emerges when the world pauses and you work alongside others? A kitchen filled with holiday baking, a living room where friends knit scarves, or a garage echoing with the sound of tools and stories. If it feels right to you, share a memory or reflection about finding warmth and camaraderie in dark, cold months. Only if you'd like. Your story may inspire another listener to notice or build more connection in their own winter season. As the last hammer strike fades into the gentle hum of indoor life, the light from candles and fires settles on projects finished for the day. Hands are stilled, but spirits are satisfied, and anticipation for the coming spring mingles with gratitude for all that's been crafted in winter's gentle embrace. Let this sense of communal effort and creative purpose settle in your heart as we journey forward, reminding us each that in times of darkness, community and craft have always held the power to kindle hope and welcome new beginnings. Amid the biting chill of the long Nordic winter, life inside the Viking settlement centers on care and healing. Imagine entering a modest dwelling where the air is warmed not just by fire, but by the soft, earthy aroma of dried herbs hung from the rafters. Bundles of thyme, rosemary, and juniper, releasing their quiet medicine into the space. Feel the gentle pressure of a warm compress. A cloth soaked in boiled water and infused with healing herbs, applied with thoughtful hands to soothe aching muscles and calm fevers. The faint scent of honey and beeswax lingers in the air as balms are gently massaged into skin, each touch an act of compassion and hope. Inside this sanctuary, knowledge of plants and natural remedies passes from elders to younger kin, stories intertwining with the scent of herbal teas steeping in clay pots. Through these rituals, the community finds soft strength to endure the harshest cold. Listen to the quiet murmurs of advice shared between healer and patient. Words gentle yet firm. How do you feel today? Or, have you been resting well? These questions become bridges of comfort and reassurance. Sips of warm herbal infusions, rich with notes of angelica and elderflower, provide relief from coughs, while poultices of mustard seed and birch bark are applied for their known powers to draw out pain and fight infection. For context, Viking healers used native plants in broths, teas, and topical remedies to treat winter ailments when doctors or hospitals weren't available. Though the cold outside bites fiercely, inside, flickering flames and the quiet rituals of care wrap the community in a cocoon of warmth and hope. Maybe you too turn to a cherished herbal tea, a home remedy, or the soothing touch of a loved one's hand when illness lingers. If you feel like sharing, only if you'd like, what remedy or ritual brings you peace during the coldest days? Your gentle tip could become a comfort for another listener tonight. As the herbal scents drift and the gentle hands bring comfort, let the image of this healing sanctuary lull your mind. A reminder that even in the coldest times, nurture and compassion continue to bloom. Let these soft moments prepare you for the next chapter in the Viking winter story, where warmth and resilience are always just within reach. In the deep embrace of the Nordic winter, the care of animals becomes a sacred trust woven into the fabric of daily life. Picture the frosted fields stretching beyond the village, where hardy sheep huddle beneath stiffened branches and resilient horses stand with breath puffing in the cold air. The coarse fur of these animals feels like nature's own armor, bristling against the biting chill. Reach out and brush your palm through the thick outer coat. Rough yet comforting, warmed slightly by the animal's steady heartbeat beneath. Nearby, bundles of hay stacked high emit a sweet, earthy aroma, promising sustenance through the lean months. Listen closely to the quiet sounds that fill the barns and stables, the gentle munch of feeding mouths, the low humming breaths mingling with the rustle of straw underfoot. Each sound is a thread in the tapestry of survival, reminding all who hear of the intricate balance between human care and animal endurance. The Vikings understood these rhythms profoundly. Each animal was vital, not just for meat or milk, but as companion, laborer, and lifeline. Winter demanded vigilance. Extra feed was rationed carefully, shelters reinforced against the cutting wind, and warmth provided by sharing the body heat of kin among animals and humans alike. Imagine the steady hands of the farmer weaving warmth and safety. Deep straw beds turned regularly, rough wooden fences checked and mended, and emergency food parcels prepared for the most relentless days. The smell of dried herbs, gathered in summer's bounty, laces the air. Juniper and thyme serving both as seasoning and medicine. Through storms and endless nights, the rhythms of feeding and tending were as much about nurturing hope as securing survival. The animals' presence offered steady comfort, their quiet resilience mirrored in the hearts of those who cared for them. Perhaps you have known the gentle companionship of an animal across a harsh season, the warm wool of a dog's coat, the soft nuzzle of a cat seeking warmth, or the silent patience of a horse standing strong in the cold. Such bonds transcend time, reminding us that care and connection offer resilience in the deepest cold. What memories or rituals do you hold for caring through difficult seasons? Maybe a favorite animal, a comforting routine, or a moment of quiet understanding shared with a creature you love. If you feel drawn, you are warmly invited to share your reflections in the comments below. Your stories may kindle warmth and solidarity for another listener watching over their own hearth. As the winter deepens outside, the faithful animals and their keepers stand side by side, silent witnesses to the power of nurture, patience, and enduring hope. Let this gentle bond travel with you now, wrapping you in the quiet assurance of connection and care wherever your own seasons may lie. Within the snug walls of a Viking longhouse, where darkness presses at the eaves and cold creeps quietly through every crack, the unseen hands of women transform winter from hardship into sanctuary. The day begins with the gentle rustle of woven fabrics, deft fingers twisting wool into thread or patching worn tunics by the fire. Touch a blanket worked from lamb's wool, its weave dense yet soft, a promise of warmth tenderly crafted in the hush of long, snowy nights. The air fills with the comforting smell of fresh bread, baking on hot stones, a scent that floats through corridors and hushes hunger in the morning. Each loaf is more than nourishment. It's a quiet declaration of care, a sign that, with patience and skill, hope always rises anew beside winter's edge. Nearby, grain is ground between smooth stones, flour dusting the air and lending a powdery sweetness that marks the heart of home. Women work steadily, baking, sewing, mending, and weaving stories into every stitch and every meal. Their song and laughter lend warmth just as surely as any fire, lifting the spirits of the young and steadying the hearts of the old, stringing beads onto leather, embroidering runes into tunics, or gently rocking a swaddled baby. Their presence creates a haven against the icy world outside. It's easy to see modern echoes in this. Perhaps you remember a mother's hands knitting by lamplight, a grandmother's kitchen alive with aromas, or a friend's home always radiating with gentle order, even when chaos lingered outside. Just as women in Viking times wove comfort from necessity, many today find quiet power in tending families, creating warmth, and sharing kindness through dark seasons. Sometimes, wisdom travels in stories and songs. Sometimes, it is a silent hand brushing hair from a feverish brow, or a gentle hush soothing a child's restless sleep. In those small moments, folding linen, shaping dough, offering a cup of broth, generations have withstood harsh winters, built resilience, and passed on hope. Do you have rituals, recipes, or memories that warm you when cold or darkness gathers, handed down from someone who cared deeply? Maybe a favorite winter meal, a song, a piece of advice for tough times, or even the memory of a family story told by firelight. If it feels right to you, you're invited to share these gentle traditions or memories in the comments below. No pressure. Sometimes your story helps another listener discover their own thread of warmth and comfort. As dusk descends, and another loaf of bread emerges golden from the hearth, the household is filled with the subtle strength born of tireless care. Through hands that clean, mend, bake, and cradle, winter is softened and hope held high. One woven blanket, glowing fire, and gentle embrace at a time. Let this spirit of quiet strength and daily tenderness walk with you into the next part of winter's tale, where the smallest kindness can become someone's greatest light. In the shadowed heart of the Viking winter, where days were short and the cold pressed close against every wall, children still managed to carve out pockets of simple delight, a defiant sparkle of play woven through even the harshest months. Imagine the sound of laughter ringing clear across snow-covered fields, each peal brighter for the quiet that holds the village in its chilly embrace. That laughter is sharp and joyous, cutting through the silence like sunlight on ice. Step outside to a world transformed by snow. Drifts piled high along fences and roofs, the ground sparkling with frost like scattered gemstones. Bare hands, cupped around a newly packed snowball, feel the sting and surprise of cold, an exhilarating chill instantly softened by the warmth of movement and cheerful shouts. Scarves come unwrapped, cheeks flush crimson, and for a moment, the worries of winter fall away. Children rush into the snow, bundled tight in fur-lined tunics, hands in woolen mittens that grow damp with play. Sometimes, a friendly snowball fight erupts, flurries flying through the air as giggles bounce from sled to shield. Other times, hands sculpt towers and fantastical creatures from packed snow. Miniature Vikings with twig swords and leafy helmets, princes and beasts guarding invisible castles until night falls. Along the village paths, simple wooden sleds are dragged up gentle slopes, the runners hissing softly over the frosted earth. A wild blur of motion follows, arms flung wide as children race downhill, hearts pounding in a mix of thrill and trust. Each landing is met with a playful toss of powder, new snow-dusting faces and boots, washing away the weight of hours spent indoors. Through it all, parents and elders watch from doorways, smiles hidden in the steam from a shared cup of broth, memories flickering of their own winters past. They know that even in times of struggle, these moments of laughter and effortless connection nurture resilience, building not just strong bodies, but strong hearts. In countless cultures, then and now, the power of play has always softened the hardest seasons and made the community feel truly alive. Can you recall your own snowy adventures? A first sled ride, the joy of a snow day, or simply the quiet magic of watching flakes fall from a cozy window? How do you or your family find little moments of joy in the middle of winter's hush? If you'd like, you are gently invited to share a memory in the comments. Your story might inspire another listener to find beauty, even on the coldest days. As dusk begins to fall and the sound of laughter fades into evening, children tumble home with damp mittens and glowing faces, hearts bustling with tales of snowball victories and secret sledding races. Let yourself carry the echoes of their happiness onward, a gentle reminder that even in the deepest winter, play lifts us up, fills us with warmth, and turns cold days into memories bright with hope and joy. And so, with rosy cheeks and joyful hearts, the village nestles closer by the fire, already dreaming of the next flurry and the next adventure waiting in the snow. As the shadows stretch long and the nights deepen in the northern lands, the Viking heart kindles with the warmth of celebration. Within the sturdy walls of a longhouse, glowing with the flicker of torches, families gather to honor the midwinter season, a time of reflection renewal, and firelight. Imagine the rich aroma of spiced mead wafting through the air, cinnamon, cloves, and honey blending into a scent that wraps around the senses like a comforting shawl. Plates laden with hearty meats, sweet cakes, and preserved fruits crowd the sturdy tables, promising sustenance and shared joy. The festival, known as Yule, marked the winter solstice, the longest night, and soon enough, the turning point toward returning light. Songs sung to the gods, Odin, Thor, and Freya, fill the hall, their stories weaving threads of courage, fertility, and hope. Yule was a major Viking festival, and its traditions can still be found in modern Scandinavian winter celebrations. Feel the smooth weight of a wooden cup in hand, warm from the mead it cradles, and hear the gentle murmur of voices mingling with the crackling of the hearth. Children laugh and dart like shadows, their cheeks glowing rosy despite the cold outside. Outside, bonfires spill golden light onto the snow-dusted earth, beckoning neighbors to join in dances and shared festivities. Tall ships' lanterns bob far beyond the shore, echoing the festival's glow across the dark waters. Watch as the great Yule log is slowly consumed in flames, its embers treasured to kindle hearth fires in the coming year, symbolizing protection and the promise of warmth against the frost. Let your thoughts wander to your own winter traditions, the lights, the flavors, the moments that anchor heart and soul in seasons of stillness. Have you ever felt the pulsing warmth of community in a cold season? Perhaps a particular scent or a shared ritual that brings peace to your nights. If you'd like, feel free to share these moments in the comments, joining a circle of gentle stories. No pressure. Your memory might warmly inspire another listener. As the festival wanes and the night settles deep, carry the lingering glow of camaraderie and ancient hope into your dreams, wrapped in the quiet magic of Yule. In the long, unyielding nights of the northern winter, silence settles deep within the bones of the village. The wind outside whispers through darkened branches, and the world seems to hold its breath, caught in a moment where time stretches and the ordinary becomes fragile and vast. Inside the sturdy wooden halls, the floorboards occasionally creak, a soft, familiar groan that tells of the house settling or wandering footsteps. It is a sound both eerie and comforting, a small rhythm to which the soul can steady itself amid the vast loneliness. The scent of pine resin lingers in the air, pressed into the timber that protects against the relentless cold outside. This aroma, fresh yet earthy, carries the essence of the ancient forest that cradles the village. It serves as a subtle reminder that even in solitude and stillness, life breathes and endures. Isolation in these times is palpable, not just the physical separation imposed by fracturing seasons, but the emotional weight it carries. Days coalesce into one long shadow, the dark pressing on hearts and minds alike. It is a space where doubts may creep, worries may amplify, and the call of the outer world can feel both distant and haunting. Yet, within the community, bonds are silently forged and maintained like the threads of a delicate tapestry. Neighbors check on each other with quiet visits, their footsteps muffled by snow. Even the simple act of sharing bread or offering a warm cup of spiced mead becomes a lifeline, a flickering flame against the encroaching gloom. Families gather around trembling fires, stories emerging softly from lips practiced in weaving sunlight into shadow. Songs are hummed, prayers whispered, faces drawn close in, mutual warmth, crafting together an armor of shared human presence. This delicate balance between retreat and connection has long shaped how people endure the longest nights. The mind turns to ritual and remembrance, lighting a candle against the dark, singing an old tune, reciting a prayer, passed gently down through the balance of light and shadow. Consider for a moment the times you, too, may have felt the hush of solitude, whether by choice or circumstance, and the small comforts that carried you through. Perhaps a favorite scent, a soft blanket, or the steady rhythm of a cherished melody. If you feel moved, you are welcomed to share your gentle rituals or memories that ease solitude during long nights here in the comments. These stories, tender and quiet, create a gentle chorus of companionship across the distance of the dark. As the village rests beneath the heavy sky, let the sound of creaking boards and the scent of pine fill your thoughts, holding you steady and inviting calm. Together, even in silence, we find ways to be joined, carrying each other softly toward the light of another dawn. Let this moment of stillness settle gently around you, the hush of the winter night wrapped like a shawl, and feel the quiet strength that blooms in solitude and shared solace alike. In the hush of the Viking winter, survival was shaped as much by forethought as by fortitude. Imagine stepping into a cool, dark storage hut where the air is thick with the scent of smoked fish, rich, almost sweet, with a touch of wood smoke that lingers in every breath. Shelves are lined with rows of preserved bounty, meats glazed with crystals of salt, bundles of dried herbs, and cords of fish fillets strung high above the earth, safe from prowling animals and biting cold. Feel the rough texture of salted meat between your fingers, firm, almost leathery, dotted with coarse salt crystals that crunch softly when pressed. Each piece tells a story of earlier days. Salmon and herring pulled from brisk rivers, pork and venison cut and cured before the ground locked tight with frost. In the deep of winter, these stores become as precious as gold, layers of flavor and energy tucked away in patience and hope. Smoking was a slow ritual. Fish and meats hung above smoky fires, absorbing the fragrant heat for hours, sometimes days. The smoke, often from birch or alder wood, served two purposes: imparting a deep, savory flavor and guarding the food from mold, parasites, and the hungry air. Its aroma clung to the thatch, to hair, and to the very walls of the home, marking the memory of meals yet to come. Salting was its own dance. Layers of fresh catch or butchered cuts were rubbed and buried in coarse salt, packed into wooden barrels, and weighed down with heavy stones. Over time, the salt drew out moisture, preserving the food's richness and making it safe to eat long after harvest. When rations ran thin or storms raged for days, breaking open a barrel offered both nourishment and gratitude, a lifeline across the frozen months. Winter itself became a preservative. In makeshift cellars, snow-packed pits, or cleverly shaded nooks, foods froze solid. Sometimes, nature's own freezing power was harnessed when supplies had to last longer than the salt or smoke alone could guarantee. Skin tingled and numbed as hands wrestled with icy stores to retrieve a needed piece. Each one a hard-won victory against the cold and hunger. Can you picture yourself in a kitchen on a winter morning, cradling a piece of smoked fish or slicing salted pork for a slow-cooked stew? Many families today still carry on echoes of these old methods, canning summer peaches, freezing soups for hard times, or hanging jerky as a snack. In a world of refrigeration, there's something deeply connecting about these ancestral rituals. a stitch in time that links us to past wisdom. What preservation traditions do you or your family follow? Do you have a memory of smoking, salting, drying, or freezing that brings comfort or a sense of security each season? If it feels right, only if you'd like, share your reflections in the comments. Your story might spark a sense of resilience and creativity for another listener facing chilly days ahead. As you absorb the mingled sense of smoke and salt and the feel of preserved food in your hands, remember, every measure taken in the past was an act of hope for the future. Let the quiet pride of these time-tested methods encourage you, no matter what season you find yourself in, to savor the warmth and nourishment waiting quietly, patiently, until you need it most. And so, as another wintry day unfolds outside, the shelves stand ready, and the heart is lightened by the knowledge that care, ingenuity, and a little salt can see us through even the longest, coldest nights. As winter's icy grip envelops the Nordic landscape, life presses on beneath a white blanket that both conceals and reveals the world in quiet ways. Step outside onto streets and paths softened by fresh snow, the silent landscape transformed into a shimmering canvas of white. Feel the cold bite of ice beneath your boots as you tread carefully, the hard surface alternating with soft drifts that yield beneath your step. Each footfall crunches sharp and crisp, a comforting rhythm against the stillness of the cold morning. The soft scuff of sled runners gliding over packed snow, the muted tap of wooden shoes against stone or frozen earth create a melody of survival and adaptation. Villagers have mastered the art of moving through this frozen terrain. Wooden clogs are fitted with iron strips to grip slick cobbles, while rough-spun cloaks and layers of wool fend off the chill wind whipping through narrow alleys. In some settlements, planks and branches are laid along slippery roots, weaving paths across treacherous ice patches. Bridges and walkways are raised or reinforced to withstand the weight of lingering snow, ensuring the movement of goods and people, even during the harshest freezes. The scent of pine boughs crushed underfoot mingles with the faintest hint of wood smoke rising from chimneys, signaling the steady beat of life enduring amidst frozen stillness. On the softer edges of town, frozen ponds become playgrounds and thoroughfares, their glossy surfaces reflecting pale winter skies as children glide and laugh with reckless delight. Horses clop carefully, their breath steaming in the cold air, each step a steady progress through the white world. Imagine the community gathered to clear heavy snow from doorways and streets, working in unison with sturdy shovels and hauling sleds packed with firewood or provisions. The warmth of companionship adds an invisible layer against the biting cold, fostering resilience and shared purpose. These adaptations are testament to the human spirit, finding ingenuity in hardship and crafting rhythms and rituals to meet each new day's challenge. Have you ever faced the quiet challenge of walking across iced-over paths or navigating winter's hush? What small precautions or comforts help you find your footing when the ground beneath is unsure? Feel free to share your gentle reflections in the comments, inviting stories of grace and care grounded in stillness. As the soft crunch of snow continues beneath your feet and the chill air calms with the approach of evening, carry the steady calm of these adaptations with you, a reminder that even the hardest landscapes yield to patience and care. May the sound of snow's whisper and the touch of cold ice guide you softly onward toward warmth and rest. Winter enshrouds the land with its icy breath, yet beneath the frost and snow, the pulse of trade in Viking communities beats steadily onward. Picture a market square, veiled in soft layers of snow, stalls draped with cloths, bearing the day's precious goods. The familiar hum of voices is muted now, a gentle murmur beneath the hush of falling snowflakes and the distant clang of iron. The sound of muffled chatter flows like a quiet current through the cobbled paths, soft footsteps treading carefully over packed snow and occasional ice patches. Traders and townsfolk exchange nods and measured words, their breath rising in delicate puffs of mist that mingle with the sharp scents of preserved provisions. In baskets and barrels rest the treasures of months past: salted fish, dried herbs, bundles of root vegetables, and honey-soaked mead, all scents weaving an aromatic tapestry that hints at survival and hope. The crisp air carries the faint fragrance of pine boughs, reminding all present of the forests standing guard beyond the village. Market life has adapted to winter's call. Where once the din was loud and bustling, now trade is measured, each transaction a small act of trust and planning. Snow-cleared pathways guide the way, while layered furs and robust boots brace each soul against the chill. Stories unfold alongside every exchange, whispered hints of upcoming voyages, news of distant friends, and shared recipes passed from hand to hand like cherished currency. The communal rhythm of buying and selling, even in the cold, knits together resilience and connection. Just as modern towns gather for winter markets, where local vendors sell preserves, crafts, and warming foods, the Viking exchange was a lifeline, a moment of warmth against the biting cold. Have you ever prepared for a challenging winter, stocking your pantry, or sharing meals with loved ones to brace against the cold? What practices bring you comfort and readiness when the frost deepens? If you feel inspired to share, your stories can light a gentle path for others navigating their own seasons. As daylight fades earlier each day and the market traders bundle their wares for home, the scent of preserved goods and the murmur of friendly voices linger like a soft promise that life, commerce, and community endure even in the longest winters. Let this sense of connection and preparation carry you forward, wrapped in memories of shared sustenance and quiet resilience, ready to face the darkness with warmth in your heart. Feel the whispered breath of the biting northern wind as it slips between the shrouds and billows the sails of a Viking longship cutting through icy waters. The night sky is a vast map of stars, glittering faintly through clipped clouds, guiding the way for brave souls who trust their wisdom and lore to carry them safely beyond the storm's reach. Touch the cold spray of sea mist, sharp and shocking against weathered skin, mingling with the salt and chill of the dark sea air. The ship creaks and groans, its wooden ribs flexing beneath a heavy burden, each movement a testament to centuries of design shaped by sailors who dared to challenge the unknown. The rhythmic snap and flutter of the sails blend with the hiss of ocean waves, a backdrop to quiet voices and the steady work of oars caught in frozen currents. In the frigid darkness, each breath hangs in the air as fleeting mist, a reminder of both life and fragility. The Vikings chart their course not by modern instruments, but by keen observation. The trusted North Star holds steady, while the phases of the moon offer silent counsel. Stories passed through generations detail the ways winds shift and birds fly, the secrets etched in wave patterns and shifting cultures of the sea. Vikings used the stars and oral lore rather than compasses or maps to guide their way across treacherous waters. Picture the gloved hands, scanning the edge of the sky for familiar constellations, fingers trembling with cold, yet certain in their knowledge. The inevitable coldness stiffens muscles, but courage is warmed by purpose and shared resolve. Just as modern sailors rely on radar and GPS, yet still keep sharp senses tuned for changes in weather and the sound of sea, the Vikings' dependence on natural cues reminds us of a deep human longing to move in harmony with the world, trusting both skill and the subtle language of nature. As you imagine the dark water lapping against the hull, the muted calls of seagulls drifting far overhead, consider your own navigation through life's uncertain moments, the times when guidance arrives as deep memory, intuition, or a glimpse of stars through the fleeting clouds. If it feels right to you, please share a moment in the comments when you found your way guided by something unseen, a quiet compass in your own night. Your gentle reflection might offer light to others now journeying through their own uncharted waters. The cold spray continues to mist around you as the ship presses on, carved by wind and waves toward horizons yet to be known. The path may be shadowed and uncertain, but hope and the promise of home remain always waiting, just beyond the frozen sea. The dim glow of the hearth casts gentle shadows on the rough wooden walls, creating a safe and soothing cocoon as winter presses in. The steady crackle of fire interlaces with soft breaths and the quiet hum of voices, every flicker of light holding together those gathered close against the cold. Outside, the world is hushed and freezing, but within these walls, warmth flows as freely as the stories themselves. Feel the caress of soft, well-worn wool wrapped around shoulders and laps, the kind of fabric spun lovingly across seasons, now offering its comfort as the night deepens. Each face glows in the dancing light, hands tucked into sleeves, cheeks flushed with warmth and anticipation. Here, in the glow, stories come alive. More than just entertainment, they are the threads that bind the clan to memory and meaning. Elders share tales in low, rhythmic tones, their voices rising and falling like the wind swirling around the house. Deeds of gods and ancestors unfold. Perhaps Thor, with his thunderous hammer, conquering the fearsome frost giants, or the quick-witted Loki, weaving mischief and fateful change. For those new to Norse lore, Thor and Loki are key heroes in Viking sagas, embodying both strength and cleverness. Every crackle of burning wood highlights the magic lingering in the air. Each story an anchor in the darkness, infusing hearts with courage and endurance. Myths of long voyages over wild seas or epic struggles beneath colorful northern lights become, for one evening, as close as the nearest embrace. Lean into the warmth and notice the smells drifting through the room. Pine smoke twined with the sweetness of resin and a hint of dried herbs, tucked around beams to guard health and spirit. The Longhouse becomes a vessel, floating on a sea of shared memory. Every person a keeper of both history and hope. Here and there, laughter rings like a stream breaking through icy ground, bubbles of joy melting the solemnity and reminding all that happiness, too, is a sacred comfort, especially during times of hardship. Between tall tales and gentle jests, community finds its quiet strength. Can you recall a story, a song, or a family ritual that has wrapped you in peace on your coldest nights? Maybe you remember falling asleep to a favorite tale or the reassuring sound of a loved one's voice. Just as Vikings spun warmth from both wool and words, so too do we find solace and belonging in shared stories, music, and the soft presence of each other. If it feels right to you, only if you'd like, share below a tale, memory, or comforting ritual from your own winter nights. Your words may gently invite another listener into the circle of warmth, helping build a tapestry of peace and connection in this sleepy community. As the embers settle and the hush of night deepens, legends rest over the household like a layer of new-fallen snow, promising that even the longest winter can give way to gentle light, and that, by holding stories close, we nurture courage for a new dawn. Let this sense of warmth travel with you as you close your eyes, the sound of the crackling fire echoing in your heart, inviting you into dreams spun from the oldest, most comforting stories of all. As winter deepens, a quiet wisdom settles into the bones of the Viking village, a knowledge that thrives even when the land lies dormant and the world outside is draped in white. Step into a modest corner of the Longhouse, where bunches of wild thyme, rosemary, and juniper are hung from the beams, their green sprigs gently drying in the warmth. The air is rich with their scent, an earthy, slightly sweet aroma rising up with every heartbeat, promising health and resilience. Women gather around the central fire, wrapping their hands around steaming mugs of herbal infusions. The taste is comforting and layered, a gentle bitterness softened by a trace of honey or dried berries collected before the frost. Sip, and you might feel wild thyme's peppery warmth slide through your chest and into your belly, a brightening thread of life echoing the pulse of the earth herself. Throughout the coldest months, healing in the Viking world was rooted in the gifts of field, forest, and sea. These native plants were more than ingredients. They were stories passed down from grandmothers to daughters, recipes and remedies stitched into the rhythm of daily life. Juniper smoke is wafted through the air to ward off sickness and spirits alike, while angelica roots steep in broths to ease coughs and fevers. Angelica is a traditional plant with a sweet, fragrant aroma, widely used in northern herbal medicine. Elders recount with pride the summer foraging trips, wild berries picked in sunlit glades, delicate chamomile plucked from quiet meadows, mosses gathered from creek banks. Each plant is a small promise tucked away against winter's hunger, a memory of green days, and the certainty that renewal rests just beneath the snow. Just as many people today turn to herbal teas and simple remedies for sore throats and winter chills, these traditions root us in the continuity of care. Think about the soothing comfort of mint tea when you're under the weather, or lavender tucked in your pillow for restful sleep. A gentle tie connecting your evenings to those of generations past. Do you keep a favorite herbal tea on hand for a cold night? Or remember a home remedy prepared by someone you love? If you feel inspired, only if you wish, you're warmly invited to share your story in the comments. A recipe, a childhood memory, or simply a favorite blend that brings peace in winter. Your gentle note may ripple quiet inspiration far beyond tonight. As the soft scent of wild thyme and juniper lingers, and the glowing cups pass from hand to hand, realize how skill, patience, and nature's bounty have long intertwined to nurture warmth and well-being through the coldest times. These rituals, old and new, are seeds of hope planted with every sip, ensuring that spring is always waiting, just beneath the frozen ground, just beyond the darkest night. Let the herbal scents and flavors enfold you, the ancient memory of green blessings accompanying you as we journey onward, ever toward light and renewal. As the final curtain of winter draws back ever so gently. A subtle transformation stirs within the heart of the village. Open the door on a still chilly morning and let your eyes linger on the hesitant green of budding branches. Tiny leaves peeking out from frost-dusted bark. The first hopeful colors in a world softened by endless white. There's a hush in the air, broken only by the delicate, tentative song of a bird greeting dawn. The melody fresh and fragile after so many months of silence. All around, the land is waking up. The snow begins to retreat, revealing patches of tender earth, muddied yet promising. The sun, once a distant companion, now lingers longer each day, its golden glow painting everything it touches in the pale colors of promise. Children gather close to windows or step outside, faces lifted to the changing sky, breaths mixing with the cool, hopeful air. Inside each home, families move with a new energy, a quiet anticipation that hums beneath every task. Woolen blankets are gently shaken out and aired, floors swept clean to invite freshness, and supplies are inventoried with care, marking off another winter survived. Tools long resting by the hearth are brought into the light, their handles polished and ready for new work in soft, thawed soil. Women begin weaving lighter garments, hands choosing brighter threads, while men and older children ready the fields and gardens for planting. The aroma of fresh earth drifts in through open doors, mingling with the lingering scent of dried stores and new-cut wood. Hope, once tucked away like seeds in root cellars, stretches toward the lengthening days. Maybe you know this feeling. A strange, quiet relief as the first blooms appear. A pulse of energy as the air warms and routines expand. It's much like washing heavy coats after the last snow, clearing the porch for tea in the sun, or planning an early spring picnic even when the ground is still cool. Can you think of memories or rituals that have helped you endure the long, dark months? Perhaps a song that keeps you company in winter, a family tradition that marks the changing season, or a single cherished flower spotted on your daily walk. If it feels right to you, you're warmly invited to share a story or habit in the comments. No pressure, just a gentle space for remembering and welcoming hope. As birdsong grows clearer and green buds swell beneath a pale blue sky, let every sight and sound carry you from the deep peace of winter rest to the bright anticipation of what lies ahead. With each tender bud and every patient heart, spring returns, softly, assuredly, a quiet vow that warmth and renewal are never far behind. Step into the promise of this new season with care, wrapped in memories of endurance and the shimmering hope that each winter, no matter how long, always yields to the gentle, inevitable light of spring. As we close our journey through the quiet strength and gentle beauty of a Viking winter, you're warmly invited, if it feels right to you, to share any reflections, memories, or rituals that help you find calm and comfort during cold or dark seasons. Maybe a favorite story, a cherished tradition, or even a simple moment that brings you peace. There's absolutely no pressure, only a welcoming space to connect and offer kindness. Your sharing might gently inspire someone else seeking warmth tonight,